bad you guys missed what we talked about before we came on the air. That might be better than everything we talk about for the next hour. But welcome to the latest edition of Get What You Get. I'm Rick Hampton, my great friends McDougal, Tim Turner coming to you on a Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Great. Good-ish. Good-ish.
How's everybody's bracket? I didn't even do one this year, guys. This first
I said I was going to do it, but then it was like, never mind. I don't know the people. I don't know the players. Yeah, it's okay.
I am watching less and less of college basketball now. I definitely tune in for the tournament.
Yeah.
But it's almost like I just have to wait for that. And so I don't really know anybody. You know, the blue bloods always. So and all the number ones are still there on the men's side. Mm-hmm. But why don't we start the night talking about the ladies? The best game I saw. First of all, the latest tournament had been dominating the last 2 years. But so far this year, man, been a bunch of blowouts. But it was an absolutely marvelous game Sunday evening between Maryland and Alabama. Ashley Barker. Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
Well, this is a double OT game. You know, that was probably the best game of both tournaments.
Yeah, that was the game of the tournament. Ashley Barker, 45 points. But Tim, what I loved was her stepping up there and making those 3 free throws to send it in overtime. Treat with 0.7 seconds. She just went through a routine, made the shot. I know 90% of the NBA players would not have made all 3 of those shots.
Man. I know. I always think when I watch a game and people don't make their free throws, I often think, okay, that's going to come back to haunt you. Like somewhere in the game is what I always think. And so, yeah, that's important. I don't know. There's some that are really good at it, and then there's some with just like, it's just not good at all.
I think Shaq is being one that's like, you know, he didn't have to. I guess he didn't feel like he needed to work on that part of his game. Whereas, dunks count the same, I guess, or whatever the deal is. Yeah.
You can't be a championship team and not be a good free throw shooting team. It's not many of them around.
No.
You get into the championship round, those are other quality teams that you're playing. So you need those buckets. But also in that game, Brad Sellers' daughter, former Chicago Bull forward, 7-footer, Cheyenne Sellers, had a tremendous game, 28 points, and led them OT. That was just terrific basketball. And the best thing about it, Tree, after the game, Maryland went to the Sweet 16. Nobody entered the transfer portal. Alabama lost. Nobody entered the transfer portal, I don't think.
Right.
There's no mass exodus of players like.
But I kind of mentioned that because here in Michigan, Ann Arbor, we got 2 teams, Michigan State and Michigan headed to the Sweet 16. Justin Pippen, who plays for Michigan, they won after they won the game. He entered the transfer portal.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that.
The idea that the NCAA is allowing that to happen during the tournament makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, is this the first time it's done that, or they've been doing it since?
I think it's been like that, just like in a college football, where they have the transfer portal set up right around bowl time, and people are like, "I'm out. I'm not playing in this." Or I'm watching
the draft game and still go transfer.
Yeah, right. Is there some rationale for the timing of that I'm unaware of? And probably, why during the time? Why?
The rationale is they haven't thought it through. That's the rationale.
That makes sense.
Thinking about it, and coaches in football are trying to combat that sort of, kinda, because I think there's a portal is in the spring as well. And a lot of times, if kids don't think they're getting a run in the spring game, they transfer after the spring game.
Yeah.
So which is really hard to think about. It's like, yeah, well, I didn't get a number, this many snaps, so evidently I don't factor into the plans. And anything could happen over the next couple of months, but kids nowadays are not going to wait on that. So it's not yeah.
No, what was the coach that was it Izzo?
Yeah, Tom Izzo was talking about
that. And he made some interesting comments about, you're trying to grow or improve the players that you have, but then it's hard to do both, right? You're trying to concentrate on the players that you have, but then you've got these people in the portal. He talked about the timing of it and how ill-timed it is.
Well, you have to re-recruit your own players. I mean, you got to make sure you go to your guys, and then if somebody good is out there, you got to go poach from somebody else, which is, it seems unseemly, but that's the nature of the beast now.
Right, if they have a spot. Yeah, if they have a spot to bring anybody else in.
But he's the only old head that's still out there. You think about it, it's like, well, I'm thinking Patino, Calipari, and Izzo are the only guys who are like of the oldest of old school coaches. These other guys are dudes who like been there, 5 and 6 years or whatever like that. And so it's draining on a lot of these folks, especially if you don't have deep pockets. It's unfair to have Duke maybe with a $30 million NIL budget trying to go up against South Dakota State with a $3 million NIL budget. And if South Dakota has great players, those guys are going to go where the money is.
You know what I just saw, guys, and I may have sent it to you. I sent it to somebody. My text system is so screwed up these days. St. Francis University. My TEXT.
Okay, Rick, I got you. Yeah, St. Francis is dropping.
This is screwed, man.
They're dropping what? What?
St. Francis, I think they won their first game in the tournament or lost it. And then they
lost in the first 4, but they had a good year.
They lost in the first 4. They won their conference like the last 3 years. In Division 1, they're dropping to Division 3.
Yeah.
They're going to play one more year in this conference, and then they're going to go D3. And D3 doesn't offer scholarships, or they didn't back in the day.
And why are they doing that?
He said he's getting ahead of the curve. That they just can't.
They can't compete with those guys up there. They can't compete with the
okay,
power.
well, that makes sense. Yeah, I get it. But yeah, it's just, we often say, or I say to you, Tim, back in my day, so back in these guys' days who are longtime coaches, there's a way they're used to operating. I think Izzo said that he can adjust, but I think somebody just quit too. Some coach just quit, just said, screw it, I can't
do it anymore. That's why I was looking at. You see the coach Jay Wright on the set at CBS. I mean, he won a national championship maybe a couple of years ago, and he was like, I'm gone. You can see that Roy Williams bolts, Krzyzewski bolts. This guy bolts.
You see it in football too.
Yeah, Saban no more. He's in Alabama had the advantage, and he didn't like it. I guess he didn't like having to deal with going over. He'll have a recruiting visit thing at his house, and the mom will say, "Well, how much is going to offer my son?" as opposed to how much playing time is my kid going to get. So it's those type of things really wear on a coach, and the amateurism just goes out the window. Granted, some of these finishes on these games make you really appreciate college basketball and college football and stuff like that. But then you start thinking there's a lot of money behind it. I think that NCAA makes most of their money off of the basketball tournament. It's like in the billions of dollars. They do. And the kids are getting like Coca-Cola in the moon pie.
I love the fact that student athletes can get paid. There's that, but then it's like, I guess maybe newer coaches will adjust to it, but it's kind of hard to put that genie back in the bottle, right?
But you know what?
We've already done that.
You know what? Yeah. We talk about the players bolting. Sean Miller left Xavier for Texas. Right. McCollum had a great run at Drake. As soon as the game's over, he hugged, kissed his guys. He's on the way to Iowa. Medvedev is headed to from Colorado State that almost beat Maryland. Hugged his kids after the game. Okay, see you later. I'm headed to Minnesota. So
Peace out. Right.
Well, that finish right there against the Maryland would probably make me quit too.
I got that.
That was a heartbreaker right there. And so that thing right there really hurts. But yeah, everybody makes movements. Everybody's doing stuff in the best interest. Here's now. Look at this.
This is college basketball.
Yeah. Game over. Game over. It's 1 second. It's over.
Here comes Maryland. 5 seconds. 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Calls the final timeout.
And that's a terrible angle on this bank shot that's coming up.
Right.
But this is what we want, man. This kind of excitement and passion. Like,
Yeah, you want that. They want that finish to go. Oh, right.
Boom. And you'll see now when they call the timeout, the Maryland basketball coach, this guy named Queen hit the shot, and he asked his players, "Who wants the ball?" And the Queen said, "I want the MF ball."
Wow.
The only player in Colorado State history to make it to 3.
I did not know that, Tim. Well, he showed.
Needs one bucket to keep its
He
season
walked.
alive.
Granted, he traveled.
Gillespie from
Who's
the out of
keeping up with
bounds
that?
to the freshman Queen who's driving.
Okay,
Floats
1,
it
2, 3.
in.
Boom. That was 3 steps.
On the right side,
Wow.
buzzer beater with life into the
That's what's so
16.
exciting about, for me, college basketball.
That's basketball.
You know, everybody's all excited about the shot, but did they look at his feet?
Dude. Certainly
They
not
walked,
his
huh?
best
He
basketball in
walked.
the
That
middle
was
of the floor.
3
They
steps.
clear
1,
it out.
2,
And what a
3.
shot fading. They give him the basketball in the
1,
middle of the floor.
2,
They clear it
3,
out. And what a shot fading
4.
away. Going glass. Ethan Morton is right there. It's just
Nobody goes
better
in.
offense. And it's such
Nobody
incredible.
said anything. Nobody reviewed it. It was at that
Oh, they were
point.
talking about
Done.
it. Yeah.
Done. We're ready to go home.
Yeah.
Dan Hurley was talking about it. He wasn't even coaching that game. He
Oh,
was
my
mad
God.
at all the refs after his.
What did he say?
Dan Hurley needs to.
Connecticut coach Dan Hurley just had a rough
What did you say
week.
about Dan Hurley, Tim?
He's the worst coach ever.
Ever?
In terms of demeanor. That's
I was
what I
going
put
to
it
say
down.
forever.
He won back-to-back national championships, and in winning those back-to-back championships, he gets a couple of calls. He does get calls to win championship. Okay, so maybe he didn't think this. Granted, there was a disparity in the free throw shot in his game. Fine and dandy. But then, you don't go come out the locker room, come off the court, and tell Baylor, I hope they don't F you like they F'd us.
Yeah.
That's Baylor. And then he gets in the locker room and is all weepy and teary about the players. I'm like, come on, Jucko. Come on, Hyde. We know what the real deal is. He is a jerk. He is a jerk. And he gets up and tries to come up there clean about how much it hurts the kids. Please.
Yeah,
Please.
man.
Everybody
That's why
they're bad
you know,
calls.
he's talking about coming to the NBA.
Yeah.
He wouldn't last 10 minutes, man.
Who
No.
coming to the NBA? Hurley?
Yeah,
Well, before the Lakers hired JJ Redick, his name was out there. Hurley's name was out there was strong. But he's more suited for that because he's an emotional guy. I don't want to really dog him by being. He's an emotional guy, and college sports is really driven by emotion.
Yeah.
It's not the profit motive yet to that extent. But when you think about it, the guy went down to Georgia, the quarterback from Georgia, that went down to Miami, and within the first couple of months, he had his Lamborghini stolen, and he cheated. And supposedly, I guess he had the relationship with somebody who wasn't his girlfriend. But he's being paid this last year. A college athlete is being paid $10 million.
wow.
I thought that's what the deal was.
What's his name?
Oh my
what
God!
player?
Who they forget? Because I'm trying. I said the quarterback from Georgia.
I mean, you can't just throw out those details and like, who that? Who you talking about? Who you talking about, Willis?
Carson Beck.
Oh, I thought that you were talking. He had a Lamborghini stolen.
His Lamborghini was stolen but once he got down there, it was recovered, but it was stolen.
Okay. And then what was the second thing?
And I think he's pulling down. He transferred to Miami with a reported $4 million deal, not 10, $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it means there are guys in the NFL. That's more money than Brock Purdy made as a starting quarterback for the 49ers. So it's good if you can get it.
That's a good one, Tim.
So hey, it's tough. You just can't say no to that kind of money.
And talk about this, man. I was reading this before we came on air. Andrew Luck fired the coach at Stanford. Andrew Luck is now the general manager of the Stanford football. So what is AD doing now?
I was about to ask the same thing. Is the general manager the buffer now? Because programs are going to that model now, or trying to. Georgia initially considered it, but they decided not to. But so the general managers like to manage. I guess they're the ones who manage the NIL and all the other foolishness. And the coach, the AD, tries to see the entire athletic department, and the coach can just coach. I mean, you got Oliver Luck going to the pros. I think what's his gosh? You said Ron Rivera is the general manager at Cal. He just signed up on that.
Wow.
So you got former NFL players who are getting these GM jobs back at their alma maters. And so that's something that's real sweet that's going on. But I know
what you gonna get at Morehouse?
A handshake.
Okay.
That's about it right now. We're in flux until we get a new president.
Gift card to varsity.
Yeah, really.
Until you get a new what?
A new president. The current president is resigning or retiring at the end of the school year. So, and it always changes the priorities with the new administration. So we'll see what the next guys is really, because I understand that Morehouse got all these vanity sports like lacrosse and
I was going to ask what's going to happen to that.
Horse and equestrian and volleyball. You got to have seven varsity sports to move to Division I, and that is supposedly in the offing. And I see Savannah State all over again. You're out of your depth. Well, Savannah was getting smoked, getting these $1 million checks for the first 2 or 3 games of the season, playing these big schools, losing, being down by 35 at the half, having a running clock, but you're getting checks that will fund your program for the year.
I tell you what.
Your program? I'm sorry. Yes.
No, go ahead, Tree.
No, I was just. Never mind.
I was just.
He said Savannah State, your program.
You a look, Tree. I don't think that look was for me. I think that look was for you.
I was waiting for her to say something. I thought she was cracking on Savannah State in their bid.
I thought you were cracking on Savannah State.
No. What I was saying
I think you was.
No.
And I was just like, wait, what?
No, they tried Division I, and
yes, they did.
You're going up there. You're going from Dover, Delaware, down to Daytona Beach to Bethune. I mean, that's a lot of travel for a lot of sports, and it's a drain financially, and I don't think they had the support to do something like that. That's what I was trying to get at. You don't want to make those kind of steps. What you're talking about, the team that's dropping from D1 to D3, you realize that's a financial commitment that they got to, that you have to make moves that make sense for your institution.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't think that. I think they won't be the only one to do that. I think you're going to see that. And, Morehouse talked about going up. I mean, people ought to think twice about that. That's a big step. They are actually, St. Francis they have 22 Division I sports. They are going down. They're joining a D3 conference that has teams from Ohio and Pennsylvania. I mean, that's right next. I mean, they're
nothing like that. It's not like UCLA being in the Big Ten where you're going. UCLA is playing at Rutgers in baseball. You're flying across country for a conference game. I mean, that kind of stuff is like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, that you think about the different types of sports and the way these teams are going. I just think it makes sense for folks to really consider the financial obligations that they have, and I think that's a good move to drop down. but then it's going to be really a lot more competition in the smaller schools. But I was I'm vamping enough to come back to my point. When Morehouse talking about moving up, it looks like the SWAC wants to try to make a foray into Atlanta. There's no SWAC team in Atlanta. The SWAC tournament was in Atlanta, basketball tournament. I'm going, okay, why is that? And I think that they're making a push to try to get another city. And Houston is the flagship city there. You know, you got Houston, Baton Rouge is big, and Jackson's big, but you know, you get a huge place like Atlanta. Tallahassee is a relatively large size place.
And they can use New Orleans as well.
Well, yeah, Baton Rouge is only an hour away, less than an hour away from New Orleans. So,
but man, I tell you what, Atlanta's just an incredible city. There's not a school there that fits that unless Morehouse is going to invest that kind of money.
Or Clark, or one of those schools, or Morris Brown, when they come back. Those are the options right there for HBCUs. And like I said, again, we went kind of far afield on this going into the football thing, and we kind of glossed over women's basketball. But women's basketball suffered a huge blow last night.
Yeah, but one more thing, I definitely want to get to what happened with Juju, but in regard to the SWAC coming in the ACC, it is not impossible. I've seen it in Nashville with David Lipscomb, Belmont College. They played in a city athletic conference in the 80s, and they are now both Division I schools, and Belmont is a very successful Division I basketball program. And if you, at least in the 90s or so, I've been on both Morehouse campus, Belmont campus, no difference. No difference in the infrastructure of both of those gyms. If somebody's willing to put some money in there, they could go in there. But Belmont only plays Division I basketball, soccer, track. It's only a few Division I. I think you have to have 9. They may have an exception to that.
It's like the SWAC and the MEAC, and you see those and how they do it. They'll play, one AA football, but in baseball, they're D1. I know many a time I saw Jackson State playing LSU in baseball, that kind of stuff, and going to the NCAA tournament and get knocked out by Texas A&M or LSU, or some powerhouse squad. So yeah, they can pick and choose, I guess, where they go to the top of the Division I.
I would definitely want Morehouse. I would definitely want Atlanta. If I had a conference, I would definitely love to have a school there for a lot of different reasons. But man, you mentioned the women's game. We kind of opened up with that great game between Maryland and Alabama. But man, we just had the injury last night to Juju. Oops, wrong one. Now I just moved Tim out. I'm going to get to it in a second here.
Oh, here we go.
On the switch, tied it up, took it away. More great defense from the Trojans, and Watkins goes down hard, and she's grabbing her right knee, quickly grimacing in pain.
This is courtesy of ESPN. And she stays down for a while, guys. They're just talking about, I just want to move her.
Well, you just knew it immediately. Just how she looked. I mean, when she clutched the knee, and it's like that was excruciating pain right there. And it's going to impact everything in college basketball, because you're thinking who is going to be the chief rival for South Carolina and some of the other teams that are over there. And SC now can't possibly think that they're still the same team without her. Right. Although they were able to win last night over Mississippi State, they're not the same team without her.
What did they say? Torn AC? Was it a torn ACL?
Torn ACL.
Yeah.
So that's about a year.
That's and it's a year, probably a year rehab for her as well.
Yeah, and she was the shining star of college basketball. It just you hate to see that, man. And then those ACL injuries are just they are the worst, and so many of them happen. She had bodies on her, but it was just really she landed funny and it popped.
Yeah.
My daughter had two of them.
Think about now that with them gone, per se, you got Texas, which is still riding pretty high. UCLA they got this powerhouse center, and South Carolina are the ones to watch. You think going down in the next couple of their Sweet 16, which starts on I think it's Friday, Saturday for the women.
And now tell me this: we're talking about the women. Why are their first round games not played
in major arenas
at a site?
Yeah.
I mean,
have you seen good solid attendance in those first round games, except for the home games? I mean, they're going to draw a crowd. Those higher seeds will draw a crowd in their home gyms. I think that's the same way the formula they use for the NIT, where you play those games at the home site. Then it's the Final Four gets to go to New York.
Yeah.
I mean, it works there.
So I think that they're still trying to protect the game a little bit, because you bring everybody in to certain regions and then you don't get the crowds you want. But the game is definitely growing. It has outpaced the men the last 2 years. I don't know what's going to happen this time around.
Well, it's a great watch because you don't see this level of transfers. Now, I'm thinking the young lady you said who scored 45, she scored 45 for another team last year, correct? I'm not mistaken. She was a
Barker? Did she?
I think so. I'm not certain. I just remember that Barker, the young lady that scored 45. I think she scored 45 for somebody else last year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
I mean, the door's just open on that. Van Lith played against her old team the other day. She was one of the stars of the tournament last year, playing for Louisville, and then she went back played against them against TCU, and led them to an 85-70 win.
Right.
And she was like, it wasn't a big deal. It's just, hey, it's almost like when guys get traded now and they come back.
Yeah.
I mean,
it seems like a trade. I mean, but it used to be where coaches had more control. It was, I guess they could threaten scholarships and say you can't go anywhere. You got to sit out a year. All those things are off the board now. You can go and play anywhere you want to next year. And I think that's why a lot of those old head coaches got out of there, because they didn't have the same leverage that they had before. And when you have that, kids can move around and play ball. Even if they're really good in their team, they're already on. Like I'm thinking Beck, Georgia is not a bad football team, but Carson saw the money in Miami.
Yeah.
You don't begrudge a kid that.
I mean,
No, not at all. I mean, if I had that opportunity and I had some athletic abilities, I was follow the money, right?
Follow the money.
Absolutely. Well, who do you guys like coming out of the Sweet 16 to the Elite Eight?
Dude.
Tell me this. What's the best team you've seen so far?
I just blurted out Duke because I'm a North Carolina team fan.
Auburn and Michigan State are the two teams that have really stood out, and Izzo's doing a great job with those kids. And Ricky, there's an Atlanta connection for the old Spartans. Cohen Carr is from suburban Stockbridge, Atlanta, and additionally, his mom works at the airport. So it's a lot of home cooking because I think Michigan and Michigan State, I think both come to Atlanta this weekend. Their games are Friday, Sunday for the Sweet 16. So
Cohen jumps off the gym, man.
Oh, absolutely. He's quite a player.
What? He's from Atlanta?
He's from Stockbridge, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta. So
south of Atlanta,
yeah.
Yeah. Michigan State will be well represented in Atlanta. There's so many folks from Michigan in that area down there. But the thing about, of course, all the Izzo teams, man, they play very physical. And if the refs let them play, they're gonna bludgeon you out there.
Well, they do, because I saw a couple of baskets of Michigan players made that I thought should have been charges. Going right into people's chest and just going right at them. And I'm like, wait a minute, this dude's standing there. You gonna run him over? And they let it go. So they're tough. I mean, the games in Atlanta, the Sweet 16 starts Thursday. You have BYU and Alabama. Alabama's been playing really great. You got Maryland and Florida. Florida looks unstoppable.
That's a good team now. Woo.
Arizona and Duke. Arizona's strong, but Duke, I mean, gosh, Cooper Flagg is as advertised. The kid is outstanding.
Yeah.
So I think that they might do well going into that. And then in the West, to close out that first night, you got Arkansas, which is a Cinderella team. Calipari's first year in Arkansas. Arkansas playing Texas Tech. So those are four exciting games. And then you got the Friday games, Ole Miss and Michigan State here in Atlanta, the Midwest Regional, which is I think is in Indy, and that's Kentucky and Tennessee. So the deal is Kentucky is going to have to do something it's going to be really hard to do. They're going to have to beat Tennessee for a third time this year. Kentucky swept them in the regular season. I believe that's how it worked. So they're going to have to try to knock them off a third time. Michigan is playing Auburn, which is, Auburn's just 2.5 hours away. So they're going to have a lot of folks who driving up 85 coming up this way to come watch the Tigers play. And out west, in the Midwest, you'll have Purdue is playing Houston. I think Purdue was
Kelvin Sampson, good coach.
Oh yeah, he is. He's an outstanding coach. So it's exciting.
I like Auburn in that game. Michigan's a finesse team. That's not going to work against that big boy from Auburn. Although Michigan plays 2 7-footers, if they play like they're 6'5", I mean that's. Quick story. Back in the day when I was in Richmond,
we need a new thing when we get ready to do a back in the day story. We need something.
We need a sound effect of
the day. Yeah, we need something.
Ralph Sampson was playing in intramural league softball game, and Ralph was obviously 7'4" tree, a smooth athlete. I mean, he was just very smooth, but he gets a fly ball and he drops it, and he just lowers his head, and as he's coming off the field, and my man's next to him. Oh, Ralph's so disappointed. He only feels like he's 6'9" now.
Nice.
Shrunk a little bit.
You had to be there to hear it. But man, those finesse teams, Auburn is a very physical team. Florida could do that too, man. It's a good team. SEC basketball, it's amazing the growth that's come there, and I'm sure a lot of it is the transfer portal.
It probably is, because I think once you start winning, you can start picking players. And I use Duke as an example. When I was in college, they had I was in there before Krzyzewski became the coach, and Duke was trash. Yeah. All you got to do is get you like a handful of All-Americans. You pull in, Grant Hill and Jaminsky and Ballard. You pull in those kids, Hurley, folks like that, you put in those kids like that, roll the ball out there, and they pretty much coach themselves. It's like Kentucky. You're always going to get the best players. Michigan's always going to get great players. Out west is going to be UCLA was going to get great players. And I think that now you have all these mid-majors and these other things. They don't have the same depth of players, but there's still a bunch of great basketball players in the country. I mean, it's like, and everybody could get somebody, at least one. But Duke was getting like everybody on the squad. You're an athletic, you're a McDonald's All-American, you're a McDonald's All-American. There's no difference. All those kids were studs coming out of there. So that's all it takes. But you talk about the SEC, they had 14 bids out of 16 teams in the conference. 7 are still in it.
So the 2 teams that didn't get bids, did that coach get fired? No.
I'm trying to figure it out. Like I'm saying, it was LSU. It was LSU, and I thought it was Mississippi State. Mississippi State played the other day. So I don't know who the other team it was that didn't make it.
Was it one of the new? Maybe it's one of the new teams. Oklahoma.
That's probably what it is.
And they're in the NIT.
Yeah, Oklahoma and LSU. They didn't get a chance to go to the party.
These teams are so mixed up now. But I remember when Penn State came into the Big Ten, people were just outraged. That team's in Pennsylvania.
Right.
I mean, what is this? Are you crazy? Now they have teams in freaking California.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten.
It makes no sense. It's the Big Ten.
It makes no sense.
But the Big Ten had 8 teams. I think the 8 teams in the tournament, 4 of them are still there. So both of those, conferences are batting, 500. ACC has 1 out of 5. Duke is it. Duke is a representative for the conference.
That's it.
Yay, Duke.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, if you're going to have one, they are a good one to have.
For sure.
Is Cooper Flag back healthy? Wasn't he like?
He looks like he's healthy. With the dunks I saw
his ankle a little bit, but
Said what, Ricky?
He did turn his ankle tree, but he's doing okay. I mean, he's quite a player. He really is. And we also got some football news. Tennessee State University, which lost their head coach Eddie George to Bowling Green University in the MAC Mid-America Conference. They replaced him with Reggie Barlow, who comes out of the UFL.
Right.
And
this season starts.
I think he's an upgrade, really, man. Hey, he was a really good coach in the UFL with those teams. I watched him play. He was with DC, I believe. Yeah,
he was with DC, but he also used to be I remember watching him play. He was a quarterback at Alabama State. So he is not a stranger to HBCU football.
Yeah.
So he'll probably do well there in Nashville.
And I know why you're saying that, Tim, because some of these guys come in there from NFL programs and they get the HBCU experience. They're like, what the hell is this? Right?
Yes, which is really pretty much emblazoned on the walls of every locker room in HBCU football. What the hell is this?
Not maybe not just in locker rooms. Maybe just.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, even it might be on the that's the first button on the elevator when you go in the administration office.
Yes. What the hell is this? Yes.
The
HBCU runaround.
Yes.
It's got to be getting better today. Let's hope, man.
Oh, yes, it is. But the idea is, he has to realize what expectations are. They have realistic expectations coming from being at Alabama State. Granted, when he was at Alabama State, they don't have the stadium that they have now. They have an incredible football stadium, and their campus is terrific out of there in Montgomery now. And it wasn't that way when he was there. But I think and it'll be an upgrade for him to be playing, I guess, in Nissan to play football. And I'm sure that the school is pouring more money into the football program.
No
just to
doubt,
see.
there's more money, but you say something about the expectations.
Oh yeah, they're not going to come in and saying, you got $1 million weight room, and they don't have $1 million. But between all the sports together, it's not $1 million. Much less just have $1 million weight room.
I said every time we talk about TSU, I'm only gonna say it once. Pay me my money you owe me, man. Dang.
Give me my money. Give me my money.
Give me my money. We can solve
Give me my
But
money.
he's a really good football coach. And of course, TSU's in the OVC, which I think anybody would tell you who's followed that program for more than 20 years, they would say it is a disaster that they are in that conference. No, none of the TSU faithful like it, and yet they
don't go to the games, huh?
The SWAC is the perfect place, or even the MEAC now for Tennessee State. But we've talked about that so many times. Clearly, they have no interest in doing it.
Right. And another one of these, it's such a much HBCU football, but HBCU news is that we're talking college basketball, and winning means something when you do it consistently at the HBCU level, because it's got the new coach. You got Larry Vickers, who was a longtime winner at Norfolk State, will become the new women's basketball coach at Auburn. I'm quite sure that folks down there scratching their heads trying to figure out what's up. Why do we get a guy from an HBCU? But his track record says, yeah, he deserves it. Absolutely, he deserves it.
That's a huge glow up.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I used to, that's a great point, Tim. I used to talk about all the time. Quality coaching is quality coaching. Because you still have to prepare your team to play. And you're playing against light talent. And if your team prepares and wins more than other teams, that means you're doing a good job getting those guys ready or getting those young ladies ready to play. So,
and hopefully he won't be stifled and be able to coach the way, that he was coaching where he was, so that the success he had at his previous school will be able to transfer to the new school, right? Because sometimes you get to a place, they're like, hey, you can do all this, and you get there and they're like, hold up.
Right.
Wait a minute. That's not how we do it here. So, I mean, I don't know what the differences will be, but hopefully he'll be able to have that freedom, I would think, to be able to coach so that they too are successful.
That's a great point, Trey. We just saw that at Stanford where Troy Taylor was fired. They said he was belittling his players.
Oh, we don't want that.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's people being soft. I
don't know what he said. You don't know what he said, Tim, but yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. I know what he said because I know I watched my brother coach middle school in Columbus, and he coached in the hood, and his practices blistered paint. The things that he said to those boys, and I told you, during a water break, I walked over to him because I was watching him practice, and I said, "You will never coach any of my children, ever coach any of
your
them."
own brother.
Yeah, yes. He says, "Hey, this is what they hear at home. This is their lives. This is what they do." He said, "Did you see any of them do anything? Did you see any of them, get upset?" I was like, "Well, no." He said, "Okay, then." He's coaching the way he coaches because he understands the kids. Now you can't get away with that all the time. And granted, this was back before really everybody had a cell phone, because I'm sure that would have made the news. Just like this coach, I think it was a basketball tournament somewhere where this coach yanked this young lady's ponytail.
That was so disturbing when I saw that video. But what I loved was her teammate was like, kind of stepped in to try to
chill him out. Yeah.
Well, not chill him out, but like protect her. I think
Right.
she might have had words, but I'm just like, who does that? I don't. And he got fired, right? Didn't he get fired?
He got fired, but it's like at the same time, that putting your hands on the kid. Ricky and I was there watching Jackson State play Tennessee State, and the quarterback of Tennessee State was not playing well. The coach grabbed his face mask and was shaking his head while he was talking to him the entire time. And you can't put your hands on somebody's child like that now.
And he played better.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Because back in the day segment, back in the day. Yeah, it was happening.
But that head jogging was effective because he played an incredible second half. And I think TSU won the game behind that. So, it's a matter of coaching. It's a matter of style. It's a matter of what you can and cannot do. There are boundaries. There are guidelines everybody should have. And I think that wouldn't be part of Coach Vickers is how he coaches. But nonetheless, people got to let people be who they are, where they are. And I put it the same way with
the ponytail thing. That was just that was painful to watch. I'm just like, it's just awful.
The worst cut down I ever heard was guy goes out for a pass, drops a wide open pass. He comes out. He says, "Coach, I'm sorry. He said, "Don't worry about it, son. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's my fault for putting you in the game."
I trusted you.
It's not your fault, man.
Facts, right?
But these kids are definitely different. And even last year, Rick's last game, this team last year, they had to win the last game of the season to get in the playoff. This is junior college basketball. So it's about 20 people in the gym, mostly parents and coach and fathers of the coach down in Ancilla, Indiana. And they are in double overtime. The game goes to triple overtime, and they're in triple overtime. My son, I know my son uses profanity. He's 34 years old. But I guess he respects me enough. He never uses it around me. But I hear him in the huddle. He says, "I don't care what we have to do. We are not leaving this MFer until we get a win. If we got to stay in this MFer all night, that's what we're going to do." I'm like, that's my son. Cussing. And I'm like, yeah, man, let's go. That's a great
Or using language that they can relate to, either way.
Right.
Yeah. So,
But I don't know. People may differ. I may not think that, but I think that's different than laying, hands on people. And
you just can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't not do that.
Anymore.
You cannot do that. But it's so different. Even tonight, I was watching some of my red hot Detroit Pistons game tonight, and they showed the dancers. The Pistons have different body size dancers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I covered NBA 30 years, and everybody looked like the Laker girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were great. They were just, I'm like, wow.
Do I have a shot now?
Tim's looking at me like that now.
No,
but Tim, it was so obvious that I noticed.
Yeah, because it's not like, they're not all cut. They're not all like, gymnast looking people. They're your dancers. They look like, meat packers. So, that
like what?
Meat packers. I don't know. People who
do
military jobs. Not like gym instructors.
Everybody was like Paula Abdul, wasn't that the lady from the Laker cheerleaders?
Yeah, I was thinking about when you said Laker cheerleaders, I immediately thought of Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
And, her walk going from what if she did, that kind of stuff. So I think it's good and it's healthy because even like with the Hawks, it's not even all female. They have males in there as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, people are starting to switch these things up, and just I guess the breadth of experience. If people want to do it, more power to them.
Dare you say diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Oh my goodness! Folks will probably be off the air in about 30 seconds.
10, right. 9, 8.
Man, we shouldn't have mentioned any of that.
Look, and there's Ricky out. What happened?
It took him out.
Where'd you go, Ricky?
It took him out.
They got me already.
Got you. Got. Okay.
We only got a couple more minutes left, guys, and we gotten everything tonight. This has been a fantastic conversation.
I don't know. Have we gotten everything, Timothy?
No, we still got 2 days from today.
Yes.
In the afternoon, Major League Baseball starts.
Let's go, baby.
Yes.
And there's some teams that have a shot. There's some teams that don't have a clue.
How about our team? How about our team?
I was looking at something tonight. As a matter of fact, that they have the Braves being in the World Series. It's the Braves or the Dodgers out of the National League, and it's a toss-up out of the American League.
Who do they have coming out of America?
I want to look at that again and see who they had out of the American. Wow.
Do they have the Tigers coming out of the Central making a playoff?
No, sir. What they have here, these guys, there are 3 teams that they have as being the teams to beat the American League: Texas Rangers, the Boston Red Sox, and the Baltimore Orioles are the teams to beat in the American League. National League is just LA and Atlanta. And most of the folks
I'm sorry, LA and who?
Atlanta.
Okay, thank you.
As usual. Atlanta as usual.
And then they
I'm
have
trying to get the
Texas,
pronunciation. That's all. Okay.
Atlanta, my bad.
Atlanta.
Town.
Talk about my hometown like that.
So they got the one person has the Rangers, everybody else has LA, and 2 people. It's like a 10-person panel. 2 folks pick the Braves. So those are the teams that they think have a shot. Then you got the teams who have 0 shot, and you'll see them picked all the time, like Colorado Rockies, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, the Marlins, and the Nationals, the Angels, and the A's. The A's, this is really interesting because you got 2 American League teams that will be playing their seasons in minor league ballparks. You got, before they moved to Vegas, the A's will be playing in Sacramento. And because of the hurricane, Helene, the Rays will be playing the Yankees spring training facility there in Tampa. So,
which is a nice, it's a
great
nice
stadium.
Yeah,
I've been there before. Steinbrenner Field. It is a beautiful facility, and it's a step up to probably some other ballparks in the league. But nonetheless, you got 2 minor league ballparks in play in the American League.
What do you think is that? You mentioned the Cardinals. That is one of the great baseball cities in America. When you go to Busch Stadium, I don't know what they call it now. I'm sure it could still be Busch. It could still be Busch in St. Louis. But to see the arch from there, I mean, it is just tremendous. And although the Cubs always played a lot of day games, the Cardinals used to play a lot of day games too. And I don't know what's happened there. They get tremendous attendance.
Well, we're going to go back in our day again, Ricky, 1988 NABJ convention in St. Louis, where we took in a Cardinals game.
I don't even know how you talk about the 88 NABJ convention the way Maurice White, Philip Bailey abused you, man. But you want to go back there.
We have to have.
That always comes back, doesn't it?
That's always Ricky telling that story incorrectly. We got to have EP on here, Eric Pate, coming on here to tell the truth.
I've only heard your version and Ricky's version. So, yes.
Eric, we got to get Eric on so he can tell the truth. Because he knows Philip Bailey to this day can't see. Because I blinded him several times.
I need a third person to verify what happened. We all need that.
But yeah, you look at all these baseball teams, and it's great when you go into the season when you have a shot. Then you have some people who have 0 shot, like the White Sox. You have no heart whatsoever. But you mentioned what a great baseball town is. That was the last time I ever heard anyone hurl the N-word at me was in St. Louis walking from the ballpark. I was walking from the ballpark after one of my an event there at the ballpark, and these guys, there's this parking garage beyond center field where you can, on top of it, you can look inside the stadium and watch the game.
Yeah.
I have to walk past it to go to my hotel, and as I'm walking, I hear this 2 words, "Hey, nigger."
What?
I was like, and I had on all my gear from my office. I had, embossed all the stuff. Otherwise, I'd have been up there in the parking garage with this man. I'm like, I'm on company business. I'm on company business, and watch out. I'm about to drop this name. So one of our honorary chairman was Ozzie Smith. I used to tell Oz that all the time about him loving St. Louis. I said, yeah, that's what the last time somebody called me that name. And he says, yeah, it can be kind of rough there sometimes. But he's beloved. Nobody ever said that to him. But yeah, that's when I think of St. Louis, I think of that immediately.
Because they love us when we play sports. And
I'm just saying, people who had enough money to get inside the stadium and bought tickets, they probably don't have the same sentiment as the people trying to watch free from the top of a parking garage.
Mm.
Out there.
I'm surprised they didn't throw something at you, Tim, now that you mentioned all of that, man.
Yeah, so that's not the fondest of memories for the Lou.
Yeah. Woo, boy, you have had some tough times in St. Louis, haven't you, Tim?
Yeah, for real. For real. As a
Hey,
matter of fact, I tell you what, Rick, at that game, that's the last time I saw Brian Burwell as well. He was working there. One of the legendary sports writers, columnists in black sports writers. Brian was just an outstanding dude, and I think St. Louis is his last stop too, as well.
Yeah. Hey, some late NFL news. I'm looking at why Russell Wilson is signing with the Giants, a one-year deal. So they have at least a gap quarterback.
So
Stephon Diggs is signed with the Patriots. Good luck with that, Stephon.
I thought he was in a good spot with Houston. Great quarterback. That's interesting. But yeah, Russ is going to be there for, I guess, the mentor Shador or whomever the Giants probably trade up to try to get, because it's really the kid Ward out of Miami and Shador Sanders are the top 2. Well, 3 is the kid out of Ole Miss, and his name is escaping me right now. But those are the top 3 guys coming out of this year's draft.
You mean the quarterback?
Yeah.
Gosh, I just saw a piece on him today. I don't know. It escapes me, man. We'll get to that. That's right around the corner, though.
Absolutely.
Oh, here we go. Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
He's shooting up. I'd be careful of those guys shooting up the draft boards, man.
But I saw him play against Florida, and he stunk it up so badly that he's the reason they lost the Florida game. Ole Miss did, but he also was the reason they were in a whole lot of games all season long. He has such terrific arm talent. He knows the game. He just sometimes makes really poor decisions. So those are correctable things.
I see that when I watch Cade Cunningham now. The Pistons have gone from 14 wins. They got their 41st win tonight. Cade Cunningham is largely responsible for those 41. He's largely responsible for those 30. Because, boy, he will turn that ball over. Of course, he handles it quite a bit. Not as much now since they got Schroeder, because he helps. They take it out of his hands. But once he learns that, he is going to be he's already a dynamic player.
Yeah.
But I worry about them in the playoffs. They're a young team. Hey, just getting there is going to be great. But man, he's got to stop turning all over. Those 28 straight games last year, he said, I could not sleep at night. So that told me something about him. It wasn't just about the money for that kid.
He's an insomniac. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of sweet.
Any final thoughts, guys?
You know,
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. What a great conversation for my friends Tim Turner and Tree McDougal. I'm Rick Hampton.
All right. Be kind, everybody.